Ladies and gentlemen, below you will see articles from The Sun, Radar Online, and others talking about, well, The Sun and Radar Online talking about Alec Baldwin being recorded. Okay. Then there are articles saying, well, it wasn't really recorded because of what he did, pulling back the hammer, ending the cinematographer's life, 18 inches away from her, without checking the firearm, without the armorer in the church, just accepting it from the assistant director, which is something he shouldn't have done. And he should have checked himself, and he shouldn't have pointed in her direction, even if, as he claims, she told him to do so. If somebody tells you to jump off a cliff, you ignore that person. But that wasn't what took place, so he's blaming the victim. She did not tell him, point in my direction and do this, without the understanding that everyone there was there for one purpose, because they wanted to see how him utilizing the firearm looked in the camera. They wanted to see the angle. They wanted to prepare for, the movie. And it was almost certainly recorded. He states that numerous times. The interview is below. And I kept looking and looking at that interview, and I found several moments, especially, and the link, it's the second interview, it's part 2, okay? Part 2, it'll be below in the description section. My description section is meticulous, all right? Now, again, everything I talk about is listed within the description section, within reputable sources. I'm dealing with, when the only critique I've heard is, well, that's just conjecture, or you don't really know, that's a theory, or you have no clue what really happened. We know exactly what took place. Someone lost her life. He accidentally ended someone's life. Imagine if Donald Trump Jr. or Eric Trump or Dean Cain or John Voight or Kanye West or any conservative actor or celebrity did what Alec Baldwin did. Imagine that for a second. You would have everyone on every station, MSNBC, everyone on in media in general, New York Times, Washington, Rolling Stone would be on it, Vanity Fair, Esquire, they wouldn't stop talking about it. And if you look what they did with Trump, they took a Steele dossier, which was literally a compiled bunch of nonsense. They purchased a myth. And then they said, well, it's raw intelligence. And they engaged in, speculation, conjecture, baseless claims, simply based on a document they purchased. And then they tried desperately to see if it was accurate, and every time they tried to see if it was accurate, they were proven, they proved it was complete nonsense. But that didn't stop them. Here you have somebody, Trump never worked with Russia, but they spent 4 years obsessing over it. And here you have a Hollywood celebrity who ended someone's life, and on 1 minute and 45 seconds into, the exclusive Alec Baldwin exclusive interview, part 2, ABC News. Here you have evidence where he's saying the camera is here filming that way. 1 minute and 45 seconds into the interview, you will see below. The camera is here filming that way. Now, that refutes the reporting, that bolsters the initial reporting that says it was recorded. Why would they not record it? I understand sometimes it's not recorded, but if they're looking at angles, what are they going to just remember that area of the church or of the building? They want it recorded, almost certainly. But hit subscribe to this channel. Ladies and gentlemen, to my new Patreons, thank you, Vicky. I cannot thank you enough. Thank you, Vicky. And thank you to my new Patreons everywhere. Thank you so much. If you want to make sure that my voice remains, forever, or my personality or viewpoint or analysis or evaluation on politics and Hollywood, or if you want, if you enjoy my writing, the best thing to do in this day and age is my Patreon, and that is below in the pinned comment. Vicky, I can't thank you enough. To my new Patreons, I can't thank you enough. And if I don't thank you individually, just know that you are appreciated, and I thank you so much. And I appreciate everyone who watches. If you're a member of the channel, thank you. If you share my segments, my work, thank you. If you read my writing in the Federalist, if you read my writing years ago in The Hill, the Huffington Post Salon, if you read my writing in the Jerusalem Post, thank you so very much. You could read all my writing on hagoodman.com, or a lot of it. See my debates there. But to my new Patreons, thank you. Subscribe also to the Stock Market Crash channel. In about 2 or 3 days, January 1st, I will start doing 2 to 3 segments on the Stock Market Crash channel and also live streams on that channel. Unfortunately, we're going to have a devastating stock market crash in 2022. But ladies and gentlemen, he is saying, so Vicky, thank you again. He is admitting that it's being recorded. Why is that important? Because now we can find out if, or police can find out, detectives can find out if it's been deleted, if there was an attempt to hide the recording, if anyone lied about it having been recorded, and if the recording exists, which almost certainly it does, you can see if he had his index finger pulling the trigger of the firearm. Again, he added doubt into a situation that he almost certainly lied to police that day in late October, when that tragedy took place. When he said, oh, well, I pulled the hammer back, what was he expecting to do? Leave the hammer pulled back forever? It was a single-action Army model. It does not fire without pulling the trigger of the firearm. It does not operate without pulling the trigger of the firearm. So it's not like a double action. It's a single action revolver. And he almost certainly, from 1:48 to 5:12 in the evening, early evening. They had him. They didn't interview him immediately. He had a chance to get dressed, to change clothing, to take a shower, wash his hands, change clothing. Who knows if they have the correct firearm? I mean, it's like, if he gets off and he doesn't get any criminal charges, almost certainly they don't have the correct firearm, or they don't have all the evidence. Because it was the armorer, Halyna Gutierrez-Reed, who gave the firearm to police. It wasn't Alec Baldwin. He's the one who utilized it. Why would the armorer give the firearm to police when it was Alec Baldwin who utilized the Colt 45? Why would she? It makes no sense. But anyway, that's a whole other story. He'll almost certainly be charged with criminal, involuntary manslaughter is one possibility. It wasn't just negligence and, a workplace issue. It was a long list of endless breaches of protocol where he ended someone's life. It's not like, this is not about, they obsessed over, Trump's tweets, okay? What he said on Twitter. It affected nobody's life. Granted, he shouldn't have pushed the envelope. He could have fostered more discourse, dialogue, debate, discussion. But they wouldn't. His political adversaries wouldn't want any debate anyway. Okay, so they sensationalized everything he said. But see, again, in the minds of the morally superior liberal Hollywood Democrats, ending someone's life is not as bad as saying something offensive on Twitter. They're not focused on this because it's their own. Now you see people working for these cable companies that just spout the same Democratic Party ideology, liberal, wonderful, morally superior liberal ideology. And look, the second time, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. You have Juicy Smollett, just fabricating crimes. You have, pundits being forced to resign. The governor of New York. I mean, it's an endless list. And so that political side makes Trump look like a saint. You look at all of the people from, I mean, you have one pundit on a Zoom meeting exposing himself. He's a legal analyst. I mean, you can't make this up. You can't make it up. I mean, you can't make it up. Zoomin' Tubin, Andrew Cuomo, his brother Chris, okay? Mr. You talking to me, what's up? That man, okay? I mean, these are the people who pontificate and judge. Don Lemon has his own lawsuit going on for possibly, allegedly despicable behavior. And we can go, list is Michael Avenatti's in prison. They were talking about Avenatti 2020. I mean, the list is endless. And now you have Alec Baldwin ending someone's life. He spent 4 years talking about how horrible Trump was. I mean, these people are like completely clueless. So if I focus on this story, it's like you can't talk about anything on YouTube without a big problem. It's like impossible. So I'm just focusing on what we can still talk about. We can still talk about the fact that a celebrity is being coddled and protected by George Stephanopoulos and others, able to, oh my God, his Instagram photos, and he's so happy and, hilaria and this and that. It's like you ended someone's life. Okay? Where's the Hollywood condemnation? It's only, I love you, Alec. These people are the biggest hypocrites on the planet. It wasn't just it was an accident, yes, but an accident in the manner that a drunk driver accidentally ends someone's life. You don't point a firearm at somebody. See, I own firearms. You might own firearms. We learn safety. We learn protocol. We learn to check ourselves always. It's always loaded. You never point at anybody. You never just accept a firearm from somebody. You never point at anyone. You always check yourself. And if he wanted to say, well, I was relying on my crew, the armorer should have handed him the weapon, not the assistant director. But see, again, you're dealing with people like you sometimes get these people who, they want to do good. They want to, quote unquote, save lives, and they want to say, well, we need to ban this type of firearm because this type of firearm has been used by this maniac. And, well, the maniac was able to commit mass atrocities because nobody stopped him, not because of the type of firearm he used. Go look at those atrocities. They only end when the evil villain decides to end what he's doing, okay? Or the police or somebody who's capable with a firearm ends the situation. But it's not like, I'm trying to speak in roundabout terms, but it's like you're talking about people, a political side, that is ignorant of what they claim, of what they want to ban. And Alec Baldwin ending someone's life this is like a microcosm of, this is an intersection of politics, Hollywood, society, hubris, arrogance, ignorance. He should have known. He had 40 years in the business. He claimed that, he didn't know enough not to. They took a Colt 45 from a cart, and it was left unattended for 10 minutes initially, right before the fatal tragedy. But 2 hours at one point. So, yeah, I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to talk about this. And it's only going to get unfortunate. Well, let's put it this way. It's going to get worse for Alec Baldwin because almost certainly he'll be charged with a criminal act. Because it wasn't simply an accident in the manner of people were following protocol and something horrible happened. Accidents happen at work. They happen all the time. But that's when you're following protocol and you're trying your best. They weren't. It was only a matter of time when something horrible happened. He has Gloria already. He has the other lawsuit. He'll almost certainly get the lawsuit from the cinematographer's family. And we're waiting on criminal charges. almost certainly evidence was tampered with. So I agree with the attorneys for the armorer. But ladies and gentlemen, like, this is a topic we can still talk about, okay? And there are a lot of things that I would like to talk about. A lot of things that, but it's like I've kind of been there, done that, It's a pain in the rear end for so many reasons. And I like to play a long-term, long game where hopefully Trump Republicans, they will take over the House, but hopefully we have a change in our society where, the First Amendment means something. Look, there was never a point in my life or your life, in this country where information was deemed harmful. That was never an issue in our country until the Democratic Party and the morally superior among us, for whatever reason, said, you're going to affect other people's lives with this information. So, under the guise of helping society, they've suppressed not only information, but thought and sentiment. They work on sentiment, it's not a matter of information or, it's a matter of sentiment and emotion. If they can't regulate the emotion and the sentiment and utilize outrage as a weapon, their ideas don't work. Their ideas don't work without if there's scrutiny, debate, dialogue, discussion. Their ideas don't work. They make absurd leaps of logic all the time on any topic, and it's very easy to refute them. But again, it's like, you know what? You pick your battles, so I'm picking my battles. Why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because you might be wondering why I'm focusing on this story. It's obviously very important and interesting, and it's a mystery, and it's a crime mystery, and someone lost their life, and here's a celebrity in Hollywood that is being embraced by Hollywood and he's blaming the person whose life he ended. But it's also an issue, like I want to let people know, my Patreons, my people who watch this channel, people who subscribe. I talk about a whole bunch of things, but I want you to know that I enjoy speaking about a topic that I can still talk about without having to go through, and still, sometimes I'm like, what? And I have a pristine relationship with YouTube, so it's always like, okay, you know what? You backed it up with your description section, everything's fine. So, but anyway, if you know my personality, you know what I'm talking about. Have a great day. Have a great couple of days. Happy New Year. And not only be safe, but be happy. Tell somebody you love them. Turn to somebody right now, to my 18-minute crowd. Tell them that you love them. Be happy. Focus on happiness. Is there an emphasis on, obviously this segment's about a tragedy, but look at what our society has become. Alec Baldwin is posting holiday photos. If he can post holiday photos, obviously, who knows what he's thinking in his mind. Say, look at your situation and say, hey, I didn't end anyone's life. And so you're in probably an infinitely better situation than he is. But go ahead, focus on happiness. Thank you so much for watching this channel. I will be back in a couple of hours. Starting January 1st, 2022, I'll have live streams on my Stock Market Crash channel and also on this channel, obviously, but a lot mainly on my Stock Market Crash channel. To my new Patreons, thank you. I'll be back in a couple of hours. He states at 1 minute and 45 seconds into his second interview, he states that he admits that he admits to being recorded. The camera is here filming that way. And then he uses the phrase cut numerous times, alluding to it being recorded. If he's recorded, we can find out if he pulled the trigger of the firearm. And we can find out if what he's saying is true, and we can also find out if what he's saying is true, why they were okay with a modified firearm. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe.